Okay. Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Gary Mertig,
Here.
Martin Vitek,
Here.
Michael Berlin,
Here.
Rich Huber,
Here.
William Metzinger.
Here. Motion to approve the agenda.
I'll also move to make a motion for the agenda.
Motion by Rich, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Marty. Questions? All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We need a motion to approve the minutes of June 20th, 22.
Move we approve the minutes.
Motion by Marty. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Phil. Questions? Questions, deletions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Public comment via Zoom. Do we have anybody on Zoom?
Nobody in Zoom. We just have these two gentlemen here that would like to talk to us.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Jeff Earhart, Town Morse Chairman. The reason that we're here today is we know that in 2025, they're planning to redo Highway 169. And our major concern is that area between Mellon and Copper Falls State Park. We're getting almost 250,000 people at the Copper Falls every year now. Plus, we're getting people walking along Highway 169, highway that's has a 55-mile speed limit in some areas on that 1.8 miles out to Copper Falls. What we're seeking from you is we'd like you to recommend to the Ashland County Board that they rethink their plan for 169 as far as for that segment. What we'd like to see is widened shoulders with like a 4-foot shoulder on each side of that road. And we realize we've had architects, not architects, but planners come in and tell us the project, if we would do it from, let's say, Dollar General in Mellon and Copper Falls, it'd be like a $1.8 million project. Now, we realize that the scope of that project doesn't have to be quite that extensive. It starts basically where Butler Road connects, which is after Bad River, and start right there and go out to Copper Falls if they widen that road out. We'd also like them to consider to reduce the speed limits on that thing, as well as put some caution signs and maybe even some flashing lights as you approach Copper Falls. You've got an awful lot of people pulling trailers these days, and they're coming out of that thing, and you're having people coming from Cozy Valley area on 169, and they're going 55 miles an hour, and they hit that, and they come upon that entry to Copper Falls, and we're looking for an accident to happen. I had Bill Zimmer with the DOT, if he's passed away since this time, but he did a road study for me as far as the traffic and the accidents and so forth. We've been lucky so far. We haven't had anybody killed out there. We've had somebody killed beyond the park area here within the last year, but I think that whole road needs to be considered. So once again, what we're looking for is to have you guys maybe just pass some kind of a resolution to pass on to the Ashland County Board to consider this. And then when they actually do have the DOT meetings about 169, that we have this in place, and we're trying to go through the proper channels to do this so that you guys are aware of what we want and the county board would be aware of what we want, and hopefully we would have the support of both groups. That's why I'm here.
I don't see a reason why we can't do a resolution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we could add it for our next agenda for, I don't know, this committee to support a resolution that the full county board, because it's all DOT
Right.
decisions, but the county board could pass a resolution in support of creating a pedestrian access to Copper Falls State Park or something on that order.
Yeah.
And there's no federal land right there, is there? Just state.
It's state land,
Okay.
Jim, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think you covered it. We see a lot of pedestrian traffic already on 169. Kids going to their swimming lessons at Loon Lake, very common thing. But at the same time, you have coming out of Cozy Valley, you've got the milk trucks, the granite trucks, you've got the gravel trucks, you've got really no shoulder to walk on. So it's been a matter of some concern because
Sure.
pedestrians do like to use that route. They'll use it whether it's safe or not,
Jeff, is there a way that they can incorporate that North Country Trail that they put it?
The North Country Trail doesn't want any bikes or any kind of motorized vehicles and anything on it. They want hikers is what they want. They put that bridge across that swamp once again, and it's so narrow you couldn't even take a bike on it. So they pretty much tried to keep it off. We've tried to work with them and not that they're opposed to it, but they don't really want us to use that trail.
So if we do at our next meeting, we do agenda item to have a resolution, and then if it's passed, we'll push it to the full county board. Now, I don't know if we have an August highway meeting at this point,
At this point, probably not,
so
no,
it'd be September,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, we've got some time on this, but we wanted to start where we felt it was appropriate that we talk to you first.
And actually, we probably will have a highway meeting in September before the September board meeting. So if we pass it, it'll get, because we won't have a county board meeting most likely in August. I don't believe we will.
When is that road scheduled to be done?
2025.
And you guys applied for a cap grant?
We
on
have
that?
applied for a cap grant and because of the cost, what we ended up doing is coming from the Mellon Little League field along Butler Road, then we went up that hill on East Butler and then back down on North Butler, back to Highway 169. But you're talking about a major hill and people don't like to go up hills unless you got an electric bike, I guess, or even walk that road. They're gonna take the easiest, shortest route. We have an active tap grant that's looking to, basically was going to go through the final 80 acres and then hit up with Copper Falls, because we just have to cross state land. So they use those roads I mentioned, and then before you hit 169, they'd go through state land, 80 acres, and then come out right at the park entrance. That still may be what we're gonna do, because we really weren't gonna do anything to East Butler, North Butler.
Yeah, that hill's a problem already.
Okay, so we'll get it on the next agenda, and then it may work out, because like I say, I don't believe we'll have a meeting in August on the county board.
I appreciate anything you do for us.
Okay.
Once again, it's just a recommendation. It's not gonna cost you any money. It's
Right.
always- it's always very well, so. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Anything wrong, or you wanna go?
Thank you for your time.
Guys.
Thanks for coming.
See you guys.
Anything for us? Nobody else?
No,
Okay. I wasn't sure if anybody else is.
nope,
Work.
Yep, so we're good to go.
Okay, so commissioner reports.
employees. So we are in the process, we had an ad out looking for another operator. James Sturgill had quit a while back in June, early June.
Mhm.
So applications are due last week. I think we only received 3.
Mhm.
So we'll have to look them over a little closer.
And that's the position in the winter will be in Ash.
Winter in Ashland,
Okay.
yeah. We'll have to see. I mean. It's
You don't have a, well, before you used to have a list of people that you don't have that anymore.
no,
That's, nice.
no, we have 3. I mean,
Yeah, I know. I used to have a big list in here, right years down the
oh,
road.
yeah, 4. So
Do they need a CDL license?
we do require it, and we're gonna talk about it on number.
Yeah, I see that.
Number 9. That'll be one of our
Okay,
discussion items
sorry.
today. So,
And this, you know, there is, this isn't unique to the highway department.
No,
I've had 4 calls in the last week wanting people to come back to work. They can't find anybody.
yeah, we have one of the people that applied that we know would work out for us. He's actually one of our summer help. The issue is he lives in Cozy Valley, and the job is in the wintertime is Ashland. The response time is a little bit tough to swallow. So I'm gonna have to have a discussion with him and see if he's any interest in moving at all, but so. He would be a strong candidate, but yeah. So that's with the employees. Otherwise, it's going along all right, I guess. Work schedule. So we've been doing crack sealing. We crack sealed on 77. We did South GG. We are currently working on F. Today, actually, we're doing a little job for the town of Ashland right here on Coria Road. We have a fair amount to go yet. We have some for the city. Some on county roads, some state roads we have to look at with the state, our state RMA budget, that's our yearly budget is, we came out of winter a little bit behind, so we had planned to do more for them. We're gonna be having discussions this week on what they want us to do because we're a little bit over budget coming out of the winter, so.
How often do you have to do the crack sealing? How long is it good for? Is it good for just a year or?
Well,
It depends.
it lasts a long time, but there's new cracks show up, so, you know, on our county roads, especially the newer blacktop, I like to run through them every year. Doesn't take a lot of work, it goes pretty fast, but the more the cracks you can seal, the less water, the problem is the water goes in the crack and then it freezes and it blows the road up, so anything we can seal every single year is a benefit to us.
Yeah, but like you say, usually the ones that you seal, you don't have to do them next year.
Very rare. I mean, sometimes a plow will tear it out or something that didn't bond for some reason, but it's pretty rare. Most of the time it stays in there for many years. Yeah.
And I will speak if they won't speak up, but the people of Butternut really thank you for fixing that. In the town. I've never had so many freaking calls in my life. I haven't got a single call thanking anybody yet, but I will do it for them.
I haven't been down there. They said it rides pretty decent.
Yes, it does.
So good.
Yeah,
It looks like they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. So besides crack sealing, we have started on culvert projects. We did a couple culverts for the town of Marengo. And we are currently on County Highway E, changing culverts out, preparing for the new pavement next year. Rain days, we're trying to cut guardrails and when we get a chance, we got some bridge sealing. I think we have a crew doing some bridge sealing today that's in between. Crack sealing takes a good part of the crew. If we're crack sealing, we have a couple guys out on mowers and a couple guys on a culvert crew. That's about all we have going. So days that we're not crack sealing, we can get a little bit more variety done. But yeah, that's the basic schedule for the next month and a half.
I got a question. As far as the employees, is there a certain time when they can't take their vacation or can they pretty much put in for it?
They can put in for it. You know, we discourage too much in the wintertime
Okay,
just because we're pretty tight on guys for plowing, you know.
yeah, but if you had 3 or 4 people want to take the same time, you just go according to seniority or
I mean,
importance?
yeah, seniority, but I mean, we try to, you know, especially in the summer, we try to accommodate them if possible, because we'd rather they take it in the summer than winter. You know, we might just have to shut down some part of the operation and, you know, hopefully we hope to crack seal all summer long. I mean, June, July, August. So we need 9 people to do that. So we hope to keep that core. If we have to shut down the culverts or the mowing or other parts of it, we do, but we hope to keep that core going. So,
But all 3 of them could take vacation at the same time, then you don't have only 2 on vacation at a time. or-
we don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I mean, if
In the winter.
in the winter, we kind
Yeah,
of.
oh, yeah, I can see
We
that.
can
yeah.
get by with one, but after that, it starts getting tight, you know,
Yeah.
and we're pulling the guys out of the shop or making routes longer or doing other things. It gets a little bit tough, but yeah. We don't have too much trouble with vacations. I mean, they seem to spread them out pretty good. We have a big calendar on the wall in the break room and we write when people are off. And they look at that and see that,
Oh.
you know, and try to work with us too. So it generally works out pretty well.
Most time the last one. Can I get it? They won't even put in
Yeah.
for it if it's just a definite no.
Yeah. Yep. Any other questions on employees or work schedule? If not, I'll go into construction, 22 construction, so. Then you've probably seen they're grinding on 13 from Mellon South. They'll be starting to pave, probably not into, sounds like into August, some early August, they'll be starting to pave. that, so I expect that'll probably won't finish up till the end of August.
Now, they're down by the first entrance to Morse this morning. Is that as far as they're taking off? Or are they coming back through and taking another layer off?
So they're coming back through, they're taking that layer off, but then they're coming back through with that cold in place recycle. So if you remember, they did that on this section. There's a machine that grinds it up, it drops it into another machine that adds oil and
For base.
whatever, and then they layer back out.
Okay, this,
So I think
because
that
the
was-
shoulders are, they're scraping the main lane and the shoulders. The
Mhm.
shoulders are actually leaving and grading out,
Okay.
rolling and grading. But the first layer that they're just about, they'll be done probably today or tomorrow. I just wondered if they were going farther down.
Yeah, so I think it's 6 more inches they're doing the cold in place,
Okay,
and then they do a new asphalt over the top of that,
okay.
and then the shoulders get paved with a different.
Because the biggest
material.
problem the state has had for 100 years is not fixing the bases up here. Our roads get paved, and
Mhm.
3-4 years down the road, they look like hell because the bases were never
Yeah.
rebuilt.
And a lot of them, they leave the old concrete in there, so.
Yeah.
That reflective cracking comes right back through, so.
I mean, at some point, the state should get it in their heads that maybe we need to rebuild the entire base. Now,
Mm-hmm.
will that be a big problem? Yes, but we can do it in Milwaukee. But,
Yep,
so,
you're right.
good, thank you.
Elsewhere on the state highway 112, that bridge was scheduled to be done tomorrow. It sounds like they're gonna be 1 or 2 days late, so. I received the email on Friday that it should be open by Wednesday or Thursday of this week, so. That'll make a lot of people happy. We're hearing a little bit on that one, so. Because Highway 63 is getting work done, and we're working on E, and it's just kind of,
Not the best situation.
yeah, all the roads are.
But Highway 63 isn't too bad, though. I mean, they're controlling traffic.
No, I mean, I've been through there a couple times, and so you sit at a flagger for 3-4 minutes and then you go, so I mean, it's not that bad. We expect them to start on our 5 miles of GG. They haven't give us a start date yet. They said they're gonna do it in conjunction with the 13 projects, so. They haven't told me, but I'm wondering if the grinder will go down there when they're done, but I haven't heard that for sure. Maybe not, maybe they're headed elsewhere first, but that should be paved around the same time as they do 13, so early August. Is what they've told me, so hopefully they keep that on schedule. I know they're very busy.
If the weather stays nice, then they get more done.
They do.
But if we got into a rainy
Get
spell,
rain days is just they're done. Yeah. Any questions on any of that?
No.
Right. That's what I have for that.
Next item is the grader. Now, Dan and I talked last week about the grader, and I'm sure Matt will have talked to you. I will say this, I'm in favor of doing this in a loan because it affects our budget so least. You know, Dan says rather than put 300 and some thousand into a 1 year's budget, we can spread this out as the stuff explains here over 5 years. Even though we pay the interest, that 70-some thousand won't affect our budget very much. I mean, it's not as if the 300,000.
Yeah, so we went to finance as you guys asked us to at the last meeting. You know, they were pretty, you know, open to looking at a greater purchase. You had asked to look into a lease, which we did. We brought that to finance. Amber, do they have that lease paper?
Yes, it should be in there.
So John Deere offered a lease of 2 options. One was a 60-month lease and one was an 84-month lease. And basically with the 60-month lease, we'd end up paying $82,000 in interest. And with the 84-month lease, we'd end up paying $65,000 in interest. So Dan, at the finance meeting, they discussed it and they wanted Dan to go to Northern State and see what they could do. And they gave us a 30-day hold on the loan. at 2.5% for 5 years. So Dan said that's approximately 75,000 a year. We pay around $35,000 in interest with that loan. And Dan is very supportive of that option.
Yeah,
So,
that's what he told me on the phone.
So we have a price from John Deere. We asked for Cat. They never produced a price for a grader.
Oh,
I
really?
don't know why. They said they were gonna come in that last week and get us a price, and they never have. So I don't know what. It might be availability. One thing, so with the Northern State loan, that would happen. I mean, if you guys approve it today to go on to finance, there's a finance committee meeting. I'm
It's
not sure the
next-
date.
Next week, because that's, you told me that too, so,
I guess
the 19th,
19.
next
So
Tuesday.
if it would get approved through finance, that would happen immediately. The grader is sitting up at John Deere right now. They have it in stock.
Oh.
So it would be purchased now. And alone, so
What is the price?
so
139. I mean, 339.
339.9.
Okay, that is the,
It's
that
on
is,
the next
yeah.
page.
Yeah.
oh, no, it's on here.
Yeah,
on
it's
that
on the
one
next
too,
page
yeah.
too in the.
So we got a
contract.
price from John Deere for the one in stock is 339. If we basically factory order the same grader for next year, it'd go up to 354. So it's got the wing on it. It's set up. It's exactly what we want. It's ready to go. So if you guys are in support of that and it goes to finance and they support it, I believe Dan would take that loan out immediately. You know, first payment would be next year on next year's budget, so approximately 75,000.
So we don't have to make a payment until next year?
Yeah,
That's better, yeah.
yeah, so that would go on next year's, it would be added to our, which we'll go to next after this, to our capital improvement budget for next year. But yeah, we would purchase it, we would actually have the grader here in 2 weeks.
And it's the same size grader, if not bigger than one we have.
It's the same, it's a 672, so
Same thing? Okay.
it could be a little more horsepower, you know, they always make them bigger. as they
Yeah,
get
yeah.
newer, but yeah, it's the basic same grader. that
Big
we
enough
have,
for us,
yes.
right?
Yep, it's
But
exactly what we would like,
do you have a use for the grader now?
so we would,
When's its primary use?
winter time,
Winter time?
yeah. Well, we do use them summer for shouldering, and we did our pulling shoulders already through May, so we'll probably, well, we have to shoulder GG when it's done paved, when it gets paved.
You're not going, you're not going to trade the old one in or anything, are you?
We will get rid of the old one, whether we haven't talked to them about a trade-in price yet, or whether we would sell it on auction, I don't know. We have the old 1990 that we would be disposing of in one way or another.
I'll make a motion that we recommend purchasing a grader on the 5-year with the $75,000 a year payment.
And that's approximate, Dan, just give me that, about that number, but.
So
Okay, so,
at 2.5% interest.
pretty
Yeah.
good.
I would second that.
Okay, motion by Bill, seconded by Marty. Questions?
It does smooth out our budget. you know,
Yeah.
like you were talking
Yeah, Dan said that in his belief, he felt, and I'm sure finance will go along with it, that the hit to the budget this way is much better than the 300,000 in a given year.
And we got use for it right away.
Right.
Yeah, and Dick was at finance, you know, there were some questions and whatever. And I gotta thank Dick for it. He was very supportive. He said, you know, what the hell? Basically, we've been talking about this grader as long as I can remember. We need to buy a grader.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. So,
Dan called me also, I says, let's make it happen.
yeah,
So the other one's 1990.
we have a 1990 and a 2009, 9 or 7 or 9.
7, I think it is.
Yeah.
Or 7 or 9.
It's a 7 or
Yeah, I
it's a
was just
2000.
wondering- I was wondering if we had 2 or.
We have
one.
2. So we have one, the old one is a 1990. And it's getting real hard to find parts for when it breaks down, and it's getting pretty shaky. I mean, it's not real reliable.
You have a ballpark number of what we could expect for it?
I don't expect more than $10,000. I mean, it just doesn't have a lot of value because parts availability for it are really tough.
Okay, so motions are made and seconded to go with this financing and we'll send a message to finance that we approved it.
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, capital improvement budget.
So basically, you guys seen this last month. We didn't change it really, except for we took out of our equipment purchases. We had that full amount for that 300 some thousand for a grader. We took that out and made that 75,000. So for next year, we have the building remodeling project, which is a roof on the dome for 180,000. And that I'm still working with the state. We will talk about it under agenda 12. They want to do a new lease on that possibly. And they haven't firmed up the numbers, but I'm hoping they will, the lease agreement will cover the cost of the roof, which is, it's actually 186,000, but
But that's how we have it entered
Yeah.
with them covering that cost.
yeah, so hopefully we can work through that and they will cover the cost of that roof.
How old is that building?
Been a long
What?
time.
We just looked at
1997, I believe.
ARs, 96
that
or
the one down
97.
here?
Yeah, across the road.
Yeah,
So,
okay,
yeah, 1997.
1997.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it.
Yeah,
You can see the black spots where the shingles are missing from here. I mean,
are they just go reshingle it or?
we're gonna pull the shingles off and put a rubber roof on. That is our intention. And I think that came with a 25 or 30-year
I think
guarantee.
it was 25.
Sounds like they've been doing more and more of them around the states on buildings like that, and they've been having very good luck with it. And it's a good option, so. So then we moved down to vehicle replacement, so 545,000. So if you look a few pages back to this one here has our equipment request for next year. We have a supervisor truck for 35,000, a loader for 180,000, plow truck for 225, and then that grader payment of $75,000. That would be our equipment request for next year. So that would correlate to that line item under the vehicle equipment purchase.
Can I ask a question? Do we have anybody currently online?
You know, that is being recorded.
Okay, because I'm sure it's gonna come up in finance, and just so you're aware of it, there's gonna be some questions about supervisor truck
Mhm.
replacement. If it hasn't come up already,
Sure.
I've heard rumors, and so it'll probably come up in finance.
Okay.
But just so you're prepared for
Sure. Yep.
the explanations of. what
And
you
I
do.
can tell you guys.
I know you told us how
Yeah.
you replace them and you move one truck down,
Yep.
but that's what you may have to do when that question comes up.
Sure.
Because I,
Yeah, we replace one a year. I mean, and it goes one year, it'll go to the shop superintendent will take it, or else the foreman will take it, or else, and then they go from there into the crew after that
Right.
for them to use.
just so, like I say, just so you're aware, because I'm hearing those rumblings, so.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I mean, you know, if you want to look at it, it's like, why do you need a new truck every 2 years? You know, because Bruce or I get a new truck every 2 years, basically. But, you know, it's being used on
Right.
down the line for years after that.
and that,
Or traded in. This year we traded in a newer one. And we paid
16.
13,000 to boot for and traded in a 2016. So I mean, it's very cheap to keep going at that
like
schedule.
you say,
so,
we know that.
Yeah,
But somebody may
Yeah.
question you, just so you're
Yep.
prepared.
that's fine.
How many trucks do you have? You know, the supervisor trucks, how many of those?
So I drive a truck, Bruce drives a truck, superintendent, the shop superintendent drives a truck. And then the foreman has one also. And then in the fleet, there's 2 other pickups that they use mainly for flagging operations. And they're all, these are all 4-door crew cab pickups, so they work good for, you know, if we got to haul 4 or 5 people at a time to projects, so
So you got like 6?
6, yes. Yep. Pickups. We do have
So
them.
is the intention to trade one in then?
Well, see, this year, we usually have our request at about 25,000. And actually, in this year's budget, we only spent, well, if we can get the truck this year, we have it ordered. We're traded in a 16, so we only had to pay 13,000 to boot for a new one. But one of the pickups that's in that the crew uses, a flagger truck, it's a 2007, and it's pretty much wore out. I mean, it needs to go down the road, and that'll get replaced with another one. So we don't expect that pickup to bring in a couple $1,000s. I mean,
But you're still gonna get rid of one.
we'll get rid of one and
Okay,
replace it with,
but it's probably the 207.
yeah, it'll be a 07 with, it's just wore out, so. So of that vehicle equipment purchases, 350,000 of that is scheduled to come out of highway operations dollars, you know, the money it brings in, the equipment operation. And the balance of that would come from debt levy. Go to the debt levy.
So you see the debt levy line did go down because we took the full amount of the grader and changed it to 75,000, and then it did increase 24, 25, 26, and 27 by 75,000 to put the payment in to stretch that out over the 5 years.
I see on the side, it says other equipment needed. What
Yeah,
what is that?
that's just that our grader has been on that list. These things have been there for some years riding there.
Okay,
At some point, we would like a new broom. Right now, we have a broom mounted on a case tractor. It's very slow, very inefficient compared to a dedicated broom machine. It's on our wish list. It's just riding there to.
this mower tractor, are we leasing that now or no?
So that would be a boom tractor, or no, we talked about buying a regular tractor. Yes, we've been leasing 1 month every year. We lease a.
That tractor that's out there cutting right now?
Yes.
That we're leasing?
Yes.
What do we pay for that a year?
Bruce
Do
probably.
you
That's
have
4,000 a month.
4,000 a month?
Just for
But
the
you're,
tractor.
but you're doing state roads or county roads?
We do mostly state, but some we do.
Because the
use it on
state's
county.
reimbursing you for the
Yes.
use of the
Yeah.
machine.
Yes, they do.
Time and material or wages or,
It's wages, machine hours. Well, when we lease or rent a machine through the state, they pay just whatever their share of the rent is, the
Okay.
lease. I mean, you know, if we use it a month, they pay the 4,000.
okay.
So we do highway too, right?
Yes,
Okay, that's a federal road though.
it's a state road though. I mean, it's a US highway, but it's still in the state system.
Okay,
You know, they would get their federal funding. They don't differentiate between the roads. You know,
so do we have more use to use it more than a month?
so we would use it more. We could use it on our shouldering projects. We would use it more mowing after the fact on the county highways.
This mower tractor that you were talking about, does it have an arm on that one or?
We have a boom mower, but yeah, we're looking to replace or not, we'll keep that one, but also just get a regular farm tractor basically that we could use for mowing. So, like I say, that's our wish list. We just keep it off on the side, the grader road there for 10
A
years.
while.
So, yeah, it's, you know, if it ever opportunity comes that
I got another
we
question.
should move it into.
Can we look into see what that would cost if we took it out like we did with the grader? Like on a 5-year plan or something?
we
And then, you know, maybe we could work it out then that we could get it. And
Sure.
if we're renting it for 2 months, that's $8,000. you know, if we could, you know,
Mhm.
could we look into that?
Sure.
See what they would, you know, if, you know, for another 10,000 or something a year.
I mean, you could basically take that, you know, say $100,000 and divide it by 5 is a $25,000, or not $20,000 payment a year. That, you know,
A little easier to swallow.
yeah,
But the question I got is, what's the life of this?
the life of that,
Obviously, the 30 years or 32 years we got on that grader, it's paid for itself.
yes. You know, a tractor, I would expect it to last
Long time.
15, 20 years. I mean, it, you know, it's not like we're putting thousands of hours a year on these, we're putting 400 or 500 hours a year, so, you know, they should have a good life, many years.
Yeah, they're not beating it around.
Yeah, and
So-
it's
so
not
real-
like they're,
Yeah.
it's rough, it's always on the road, you
Yeah.
know, I mean,
So really, the only time you would use the tractor is in the summer.
yeah, we,
You know?
well, yeah, that tractor, we would not use it in the winter, we don't have a use for it in the winter.
Sole use.
Yeah,
Yeah,
our boom tractor, we do if we have a year with less snow, we do get the boom mower out and it can work all winter, but it just depends. Snow gets too deep, that's over with too.
so if we use that boom tractor later on, will we get reimbursed by the state for any time that we use it, or is
The
there?
boom tractor?
Yeah,
If we're on a state highway, yeah.
yeah, so we would get reimbursed for that,
Mhm.
so we
It's
could
hourly
actually
rate.
be taking money in.
Yeah,
And we can compare that, because we've done that in the past, of comparing like, do we get enough revenue off that piece of equipment to cover what it costs to lease it? So like, we can run some numbers and check what the hourly rate would be on that and compare it, you know, a month on the state. And then,
Yeah, I guess I
See if
would
it's worth
rather
it.
go for the mower tractor, get that one taken care of before the broom.
Yeah, the broom is, I mean, it's working what we're doing, it just,
Getting old.
it's that case tractor at some point is gonna need to go down the road, it's not.
Well, if you could bring that up at the next meeting that we have, and
Okay. Problem is the next meeting will, I'm guessing the budgets will be well on their way to getting taken care of, so
well, could we submit that right now?
you have that
You know, I
opportunity
guess
right
that's what
now,
I
because
would like to do.
we're gonna be asking you to approve this CIP today. That, you know, obviously goes on to finance, so if you guys want to add or change, you have the opportunity today.
Well, you know, I think that if we look at, let's just say we're going to use the figure $25,000 for the next 5 years, and say something that we would be saving money because we won't have to lease it, you know? So I'd like to make a motion to add that in. That more tractor for $25,000 a year for 5 years. I'm gonna just, you know,
and you, like, yeah, but then you have to add the, well, two leases and the grader and the
Yeah,
tractor, so that'd be like, what, 50,000?
so we would just be adding to this
25.
vehicle replacement line up here, that 545. We would
Yeah.
add 25 to that number,
Oh,
and then we would add 25 to the debt levy number down on the bottom.
Is
All
that
the
25
financials.
including interest?
yes.
Yes,
yeah, because actually be 20 if it was just a regular.
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Would we be better off to go to the bank and borrow $90,000? And if we got 2.5% interest and it was cheaper than $5,000 a year?
Yeah, I mean, what we would do if it was approved, I suppose, we could just, when, either if they want to do separate loans for the grader and the tractor, or else just do one loan,
Combine them.
combine them.
Yeah, but that would probably be cheaper than going through the company, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, you're not gonna get 2.5%.
Yeah,
No, yeah, you'd have to go through the
Not at
bank,
this
yeah,
time.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, no,
yeah.
no.
Well, if you need a motion, I'll
How
make
does
it.
that work? Like, say, for instance, the fires they go here to Kubota. They got that 5 or 6 year, no interest.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I guess I haven't talked to some of them that offer 0. I mean, we haven't talked to,
But then Kubota and New Holland, the same people, so I'm not sure If New
Yeah.
Holland has that same, that's what we have on our road right now,
Yeah, we have a New Holland.
but the 25,000 that you're talking about would cover it
Yeah.
if there was interest.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely look at financing options through, say, Lulich Implement if they were to get a
Well,
price on one.
At $100,000 at 2.5% interest, that's $2,500, right?
No offense to Kubota,
The first
because
year,
I took
yeah.
Kubota over.
What?
Kubota
The
years,
first year
then
is $2,500.
I've
down
got a
there.
couple do it,
Yeah.
I've not had to buy parts yet, so.
Yeah,
So even if we have to pay 2.5% interest, that's only $2,500, so.
For each
A
year,
year,
yeah,
yeah.
and then the next year you're paying it on 75,000.
Right.
And it goes down from there.
Well, if you look at it, that the county has $100,000 in the bank drawing 1% interest, and you're gonna pay 2.5. The actual cost of that is 1.5. The difference between what we're getting and what we're talking, so.
Yeah.
But yeah,
you better
You're on
go to
finance,
finance
right?
of that.
Oh, you're not no more?
You better go to finance.
He's not on the finance.
Oh,
anymore.
see?
Mike is.
Yeah.
But
Well,
does-
that's why I didn't make that motion before, because, me
Right.
being the chairman of the finance committee and stuff like that, so.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be careful
But what do you think, what do you think of that, if we need something that we can save some money in the long run? Would we be better off to do it?
well, the part I like about it is we're having somebody else pay for it. So when they reimburse us, they're actually making the payments.
Yeah.
So, it's not like we're, it's coming out of the budget, but it's being, it's reimbursed,
Yeah,
Right,
it's being paid for.
Okay,
And
so
of
you're,
course, if we did owe it, we would use it more. We had a new machine.
so your motion is to put this mower tractor in the budget.
on a 5-year deal like the grader.
Okay.
To pay for it within 5 years. I guess that's how.
Amber, do you?
I just did like a quick, online amortization, like we did 2.5% for 5 years, it's 60, basically 6,500 in interest, just roughly. If we got it for 2.5% again. So
Okay, so
that,
you have Bill's motion? He's making
Yeah.
a motion to put that mower tractor in on a 5-year.
Pay for it outright, right?
Is there a second?
And then borrow the money from Northern State at 2.5.
maybe doing a,
Just don't put Northern State in there.
Well, just put
Borrow
borrow from
money,
the
'cause
bank.
who knows, somebody
Yeah,
else
yeah.
could come in.
because if you get it from
Yeah.
manufacturer. okay.
Another thing to consider is that 2.5% interest might not last too much longer too.
No,
Well, that was Dan had told me it's a 30-day offer.
right.
Yeah.
So,
so they-
It's
yeah,
it's
they-
shortly after finance committee that it'll run out, so if finance approves it, we're gonna jump on it and get going.
But we're going to check in, are you going to check in with Kubota?
I can talk.
Oh, you're
to,
gonna get bids, right?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
get bids, yeah, but then we can ask for some financing
Oh,
options,
sure.
but that, yeah,
That'd be some pretty quick bids though, because
Be
you got
tough-
a
tough to
timeline.
get it
Yeah.
by finance. but-
Yeah.
Would there be an opportunity to lock that rate in before? You know what I mean? To lock it
Well-
in Because before we actually make the.
Well, the thing is, I mean, if finance is gonna go ahead with it, they could borrow the extra 100, basically, or 90,000 with the greater money. And if we find a different financing option that works better, you just pay it back, right? I mean,
Yeah.
pay interest on just a few days,
Okay,
a month, whatever. But
Okay, so Bill's made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Rich. Any,
Yeah.
So you're saying a max of 25,000 a year? Like, is it, do you want
I'm
to put
gonna
it,
come to board meeting right now.
just because I said, you had said 25,000 a year, so.
Thank you.
Well,
Because if we did a
we were just,
5-year,
we were just taking it at 100,000, so
Yeah.
well, 25,000 or less.
Yeah.
On the same terms as the grader.
Yeah.
that should
I just wanna know,
actually
do
be
you want-
around 20,000.
Yeah, it
or
would
so.
be like 20, yeah.
But-
And then with interest.
Yeah,
It's
20.
not
would
gonna be much more, it'd be more like 20,
And
yeah.
it depends on.
It would be $6,500 interest, 20,000 would cover it in 5 years.
Yeah, it would.
Cause that's the $10,000, so
Okay.
but instead of changing, I'd like to change that to 20,000 if I put a figure in there. That'll sound a lot better.
If I, do you want me, okay. I could use the word approximately 20,000
Yeah,
a
right,
year.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that way we're not committed to,
And then I'll just, so that'll just, that'll change these.
Okay, so
All right,
motion been made and seconded.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Alright, thank you. Moving on to the road and bridge, so in the capital improvement, we have 1,918,868. That is including the County Highway E project. Pages later, it's this one here. It's including County Highway E, which we received a BIL grant, federal grant for that, so our portion is estimated to be at 254,000. We're looking at doing a seal coat on County C here from Golf Course to Minersville. Some bridge epoxy overlays, and then a little bit of engineering on the GG flat grant project. So out of that, that 1.9 million, our request in the budget under debt levy would be 820,000, the same that it was for this year. And the rest would be other funding through DOT. So that's our basic capital improvement plan for 23.
And obvious because I live on FICAF. But for a lifespan of any of our county roads here, because we go out to like 27, and I see you do seal coating and stuff like that. How many years can you go by before you have to seal coat a road?
So I would prefer to seal everything within 5 years.
Okay,
It's
so
just-
let's just use F, and
Mhm.
only because I live there. F's nowhere on here in a 5-year
Yeah.
period, and that road is
Yep,
how old?
so
I guess the
I'm not
question
sure,
is,
yeah.
because that would determine your other county roads too. If we don't seal coat our county roads within the 5 years or so, then we start losing the
They start
road itself.
deteriorating, yeah.
Okay, so I think somewhere along the line for all of our county roads,
Mhm.
we probably want to say to ourselves, okay, whatever county road we have, or all of them, if we don't seal coat and we lose, then the money we would spend within the 5 years or whatever that period be, obviously it's not gonna be 5 years for some of them, because we
Yeah.
have so many, then are we really just letting the road go to hell to where it costs
Yeah.
more later? And
So-
I understand our budget.
Yeah, so my game plan, my plan is to get more aggressive with seal coating. Emmer did a little bit, GG and whatever, but they were too late, and they were done too late in the lifespan of them roads. They need to be done sooner. So County F, I'd just like to write that off for now, basically, you could say.
Right,
And we're gonna have to replace it at some point. But then I would like to, within 5 years, seal coat these roads, and that's why right now I'm looking at County C, that was done in 17.
but
So,
like what we're gonna do in the next few years on like GG,
mhm,
you're gonna do County C,
yes. E,
then those roads, when we do them, we need to say to ourselves, hey, in
Mhm.
5-6 years or something, we need to
seal coat,
seal coat them. Otherwise, we're just
yeah,
gonna,
yep, that's how my, this plan goes out to 27, I have a master plan out to 34. And that's what I'm trying to do in that
Right.
plan.
Like I say, especially the new ones. Once we
Yes.
do a new one, we
Yep.
need to say, hey, that budget 5, 6 years down the road, we gotta make sure we have money to keep
To
them
do
up.
that.
Otherwise, we're just gonna have a whole bunch of roads go to hell at the
But-
same time.
Has your road been seal coated?
Well, no, not since if that road, and I'm only picking on it because I see it.
Yeah,
I see the
But
pebbles
is-
coming
but is
out of
it-
it, and
but
I'm
is it-
worried about the ones we do now.
Yeah.
But is it too late now?
it,
It could
it,
be.
it would benefit from it, but we'd be better off to put our money into our newer highways, say in this plan. In 26, I have GG, that was paved last year in 21. So in 5 years, I have it in my budget to seal coat that road.
That's what I was saying, and I just use F as an example. I agree, if it gets to a point, but the ones we do now in the next couple of years, we need to know that, hey, we're gonna have to spend money 5, 6 years down the road
Yes,
and keep them up. And then we'll
Yeah.
worry about the ones that are beyond.
yeah, I mean, F would benefit, but, I can't find it in the budget to pay
Right.
for it, so I think we're better served to do
I
our newer
agree.
pavements.
That only because I'm on that all the
Yes.
time, but I
Yep.
agree. I just want to protect the ones we do now in the future. And the county needs to understand that, hey, part of that budget for the highway department is gonna be to keep that road in good
Yeah.
shape. So the Cs, the GGs that we do.
And that's a good thing to be able to tell people when they ask about these roads, and that's on a 5-year schedule and something,
Yeah.
or whatever, and in 5 years are gonna.
It's just like South GG, that's 2 years already.
It's 1 year, that
1
was
year.
last year.
That's right,
21.
that's right.
Yeah.
So in 4 or 5 years down the road, if you don't maintain it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the sun that does as much damage on the surface as anything. It dries out the top of that surface of that asphalt. And then, like you say, the rocks start popping out and you slowly start to lose it. So a seal coat just goes through and puts a surface on it that, it has to get through that to get to the real asphalt. It protects it from the sun and the elements, but
Yeah, so people like that predictability.
But
We,
that road is still being crack filled.
yes.
yes,
Cracks here,
yes, yep,
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
crack seal it this year already. So.
yeah.
So is your budget big enough to do all the roads in 5 years or no?
It's tough.
I was gonna say, because I mean, you probably can't do all the roads.
No, but when you look at, you look at the cost of seal coat per mile. Like I said, a county F would cost you $1 million or more, well, more than that probably.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
It
did
is,
the
yeah.
whole stretch,
Mhm.
but like this year, if you do 5 miles on GG, then in 5, 6
Yeah.
years, you
Yes.
seal coat it.
Mhm.
That's what I'm worried about. I'm just worried about the work we do now.
Mhm.
Let's not screw it up in 6
Yeah,
years.
protect the
and
roads
say,
we got that are halfway decent.
so,
Yeah.
so when you seal coat, you put it over the entire road.
Yes,
Okay. Do we, the seal coat machine, do we own it or
we do not. So
do we lease that too?
yeah, there's two options to go. I mean,
Okay.
one is to go private and bid it out. The other option is to use one of the other counties to help us do it. And I would be, if we're using county dollars, that's probably the way I would go. I would price it out at the time, but this year on 77, we're gonna do a project for the state. 3.5 miles in Ashland County and 3.5 miles in Sawyer County. So Sawyer County didn't want to mess with it, so we're actually gonna work with Washburn County has a chip spreader. So we're gonna haul all the chips down to the site. Washburn County will come in with their chip spreader and then they have to use their trucks because their trucks have a hook that hooks onto that chip spreader, they pull them. So they will place it. They will provide the 2 rollers, but our people will drive them. We will provide the traffic control. We'll do the brooming. We'll pay for the emulsion product. So it's, we can use our own forces as much as possible and just use them for what we don't have. And I think that's our best bet dollar wise, how we will do these county roads also. But yeah, it's the other option is to have a, company get a bid. And it's a possibility in the future that we could get some state funding, LRIP funding for it or whatever, but I would probably try to use that for other things and fund it through the county dollar, so I could do it more efficient, dollar wise. With our county budget than the state dollar, so.
Okay,
Any more questions on the capital improvement budget? Otherwise, I would, if you guys would like to approve that, I would appreciate it.
I don't know if you guys can see it up here, I can get a bit bigger, but I
Change the
took,
numbers.
I did. So I changed this equipment sheet here by adding the $20,000 in each year for the tractor. Over the 5 years, so then that increased the total. And then, so then on the actual capital improvement plan, this line then now reflects the total of the 565, 575. Increase those all 20,000, which then when you come down here, the debt levy, it does increase debt levy by 20,000. So it's just a little bit different. And I can go print this out for you guys now too, if you want to look at it for paper. I just got it updated with that
okay,
motion Bill made.
okay, so the motion made and we've approved that, right?
You approved
approved
that, so I
So
added
all we
it
did was change that, okay.
to.
So now
So
we
you
need
want a motion to send this to the
To finance.
finance,
approve
The
this
revised.
the revised budget?
Yeah,
Is there a motion?
Capital improvement budget.
I'll make a motion that we send this to the finance committee.
Motion by Rich, second by Marty. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Yeah.
Okay. Went through CDL.
We are on number 8, so we gotta go to our full budget
Oh,
now.
cool. Okay, sorry. I tried to jump ahead.
so there really isn't, we didn't make much changes for this. They, finance didn't, only really direction, we didn't,
The only thing that would change is these debt levy numbers.
yes. So on this first page, so this would need to be updated again, which would just be slightly the equipment debt levy, increasing that, the 20,000, so I'll go do that real quick too. And then it all, but then on the other side, the expenses down here, instead of 545, now that's gonna be the 565. Yes, 565.
If that's the only change, I would make a motion that we send this to the finance committee.
Okay.
If that was the only change, because we discussed it last
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the only change is that debt levy, but really,
Yeah,
there wasn't anything else
Yep.
in here that. came up
Motion
with-
by Bill, seconded by Marty. Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
And one thing it is new that it wasn't on there, just so if you guys wanted to see, what page. The 2022 actual versus budget, and this is through, a month early end, this is through May. So I'm working on June right now, we're just starting to close that out, so, this was something we didn't have at the last meeting, but I did provide at finance, I did have enough time to get it done for them. So just if you wanted to see kind of how we're looking for this year, that is in there for you to review. And if you have any questions, just holler at me.
Okay. Good on that one?
good on that one.
Okay,
We need,
now we want to go to CDL?
no, do we need it? We did, we already passed it then.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, we're done there.
All right. So in the past, we have helped 2 or 3 employees when applied for a job but did not have a CDL, and we felt they were good candidates in every other regard but that, and they needed a CDL. So we had helped them. They went on their own time and took the written test. But then on work time, we would allow them to drive with our operators and get trained, get the time. And then we also, a couple of them just got a Class B in town with Mike Bachler does the test for Class B. We allowed them to take the county dump truck and go take the test. And then they had to pay for their license. That all changed now in February. The Fed changed the requirements for obtaining a CDL. Now you have to go basically to an accredited school I guess there is a way that the county could become, we may be able to take some classes or somehow become able to be training, but it sounds like it's pretty burdensome and a lot of paperwork and a lot of time that we would have to put in to be able to train people. So this is a conversation come out of Highway Road School in the Dells in early June there that I went to. A lot of counties are considering a policy that they would cover the cost of the schooling. If you found that right employee, they would pay for the schooling, which I haven't looked into it other than at that they're saying from $3,000 to $5,000 would be a cost to go to a school. It's a 5 or 6 week class. And then they would also pay the employee's wages to take that class also to get that CDL. With that, they're looking at having the employee sign a 2 to 3 year contract. If they left before the 2 or 3 year time, they would be obligated to pay the county back for the cost of the class, not their wages, but the the $3,000 to $5,000
Mhm.
that it cost us to send them to this.
Does this class go every day?
I believe so. And I don't know, WITC offers it, I don't know if they do in town or Northwood Tech. Or, if they could do part in town, some of the possibly the classroom part of it, they could probably do through the internet. I don't know all the details, but I wanted to talk to the committee. If you guys support us in creating a policy or not, basically, I mean, should I look into this? Is it something we should consider? Or is it something we just want to say, no, we don't, and that
Well,
people have to have a
I have
CDL to come to work?
I have no objection, Matt, to you looking into it and seeing what other counties are doing. My only concern is that, you can always take the employee's last paycheck if they have a last paycheck.
It is.
But if somebody comes to you in the 2 years and says, I'm leaving, you know what it's gonna cost us to collect 3,000 to 5,000? if
No,
they
I-
don't?
When I talked to Dan, he did bring that up. He said there's no real way to collect that money if they want to default on it.
Yeah,
I mean, he said that you could, but it's gonna cost you more than it's worth. So that would be a chance we're gonna take. I mean, if they're not a person of their word and not gonna follow through with the agreement they signed, you're basically holding the bag. You are.
And the way this works, you're gonna talk about a month and a half of wages plus the 3,000 to 5,000 if they have to go somewhere else.
Yes.
Hopefully that cost would be less. I mean, but if you would hire an employee today and that class isn't offered for 4 months,
Mhm.
what do we do? Because they still don't have a CDL.
Yeah.
And we're in real hurt.
Yep.
Somebody didn't think this out very well.
It's not a good situation. I mean, it's the whole industry, truck driving industry is struggling with this.
oh, yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I guess I wouldn't be opposed to saying to you, go ahead and look and see what everybody else is trying to do
Mhm.
and come back with some kind of a proposal.
Sure.
If that's, I mean, we just collected $1,000 fine from a school teacher who decided to leave last week.
Mhm.
It's in their contract. That we're getting. But 3,000 to 5,000 is a little tough because their
Yeah.
wages ain't gonna cover that.
Yeah, yep, it's not.
But
I mean, I don't know, is it a possibility we could look at that they would make payments, but still, if they left, you're still holding the bag. I was thinking if you could make them pay for it, say $50 a month or something.
Yeah.
Come out of their paycheck to reimburse the county for that class, but you're still left holding the bag at the end of the day.
yeah,
if they leave.
and no offense, but with the employment situation the way it is now, I'm looking to get on with the county. The county's gonna take $50 out of my paycheck every month for something you
Yeah.
require me to have.
Yeah,
So I'm sorry, but we're in a job market right now where
we
I
are.
can name my wages.
It
Almost.
is.
But if you look into it and bring us back something, we'll look at it.
Yeah, I just wanted to see what your thoughts are. I mean, I don't wanna spend time on it if there's a total no.
How many, oh, go ahead, let's see.
Those three people that applied for the job now, do they, any of them have their CDL?
The one, two might for
There's four
sure.
total, and I think three of them do.
Three of them do.
Okay, maybe it'd be better to hire one of those people.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, right now, I don't need it today immediately. It's just in planning for the future here.
We'll bring something back
We
to us
can.
and then we'll look at it. Like I say, my only concern is how you get the 3,000 to 5,000, whether we
You're
pay it or
exactly
not,
right, yeah.
how are you gonna get it back?
No, you're gonna take a chance, but if,
My concern is we get them with their CDL and then a week later they come in and say, see you later,
yeah,
man.
it's very possible.
Right.
It could happen.
I mean, because if they need a CDL for something else,
Mhm. It is, it's,
Mellon has something like this for EMTs. If you go, if you go through the class and become an EMT, and then if you leave after 2, on how many years, then you're supposed to pay that back.
yeah,
training.
Yeah. so
Yeah,
Similar to
and-
this.
you're taking a chance. I mean,
Yeah.
if you got a guy that's gonna game you and come in and hopefully you can get a sense of him, but that's not a guarantee either, If it's a good solid guy and
It could be, and
But-
I mean, we'll leave a lot of it up to you, but potentially you could say to an employee, we'll pay for this and we will charge you back, whatever, 25, $50 a month or something. And if you stay 2, 3 years, we'll give you the money back.
yeah, that's not.
That's an incentive maybe,
Yeah.
without breaking them on their wages, but yeah, I mean, you think
Yeah.
about it,
No, that's an option too, or,
Then there's the other employees say, well, I paid the freight to get
Yeah.
my CDL.
Actually, that's it,
true.
yeah.
yeah.
So now this isn't just, this is any CDL license. So
Yeah,
like
so-
anybody, like the tribe needs a CDL license or something, they'd have to go through the same thing.
yes.
So that they're going to, the supply is going to run out. So there's going to be more of a demand for
Yeah,
what we have, the CDL license.
oh, it's a big thing. I
I
mean,
would think the federal government made a huge mistake here.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're crying for people.
Mhm.
Now you're gonna charge them out of the market.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and make them take a class.
Cause I wanna start driving over the road truck now and I gotta
Yeah.
spend
You're getting
$5,000
kinda
to
old.
do it.
Yeah.
Hey, they'll take anybody.
No, I mean, but you take, say my youngest son, he talks about wanting to do a lineman apprenticeship, Well, to get into that, you have to have a CDL, so now he has to go take a
Just,
schooling
yeah, this
and get a
pay his money.
CDL, yeah,
plus go to, yeah.
to be able to even be considered for that apprenticeship.
But this CDL here is just the lower grade CDL. You don't have like tanker and hazardous waste.
No.
Cause
no,
I got a CDL, but I got all that stuff. Like, the only thing I don't have is a school bus, I think, but,
We prefer a class A, but a class B
okay.
works too. I mean, that, we have to have a class B for the plow trucks.
Yeah, you have to have
Class A
air
is-
brake and.
Yeah, class B is, we can work with it, they can do the plow truck. Class A is preferable, then they can run the low boy truck and some of them, we do have a tanker, they get the N endorsement for a tanker.
Oh, do they?
which-
Oh, okay.
That's basic. I mean, you just have to take like a 30 question
Yeah.
test and they give you the endorsement, so,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, bring us something. back,
Okay.
Matt.
I will.
Okay. County Highway Bridge River signs.
So the committee requested last month that I look into this. So I come up with an approximate cost for a sign of $170. We have 13 county highway bridges, so it'd be about $22.10 to install river signs. One sign at each bridge would be a double-sided sign. So see it from both directions. It's just
So $2,200?
$2,200 to put a sign at each of the county highway bridges of what
River name.
river name.
Right.
is.
And we wouldn't have a priority on doing that right away. We would do it whenever we're in that area
Yeah.
doing something else.
Yep. For sure.
What's the committee's feeling? I brought this up only because
Yeah.
people brought it up.
That would probably be done like in the spring when we're out doing repair and knockdowns. and signs.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter to me either way. I'm fine either way. I don't have a.
This is strictly paid by the county then?
This is just by the county. This would just be on county highways. We don't have any.
Yeah, okay.
Jurisdiction on the state highway bridges, so.
So it's coming out of our
Somewhere
money.
there, somewhere not, so.
Is this gonna come out of the 2023 budget? Or do we have money left over? We could do it.
Yeah, I mean, it could come out of either this year or next year.
We'll probably order the
County-
signs
county
now in the
maintenance.
posts,
Yeah, we probably would order signs. We
put them up
have the
next year.
posts already in stock, so.
Be a one-shot deal anyway,
Yeah,
other than maintenance of them.
if knockdowns or whatever, but yeah. Generally, it'd be behind a guardrail, still could get hit by snow, but they're a pretty small sign, so it's not likely that they're gonna get knocked over until the post rots out, so.
I'll make a motion that we purchase 13 signs for the rivers. Bridge over the bridge.
Also,
Marty seconds. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, updating the employee handbook.
So if you see in your packet, this page with the employee handbook addendum amendment. So at the March 9th, 22 meeting, the highway committee increased our clothing allowance from 340 to 500. Effective for this calendar year, it was effective June 1st, I believe. We always, the guys would give receipts and they were just reimbursed, or sometimes we ordered stuff in-house through different catalogs we have. The administrator brought it to our attention that clothing allowance needs to run through payroll and be taxed,
Oh,
so basically what happened, your increase didn't really mean much because now they have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have known that because I have to pay tax on mine.
So, so we just wanted to, we have our addendum to the employee handbook that has some of this stuff in here that employees pertains to the highway department. So we're saying the employees shall be reimbursed for 500 annually. And they'll get two payments, one in June, one in December, 250 each, and then that'll be taxed on payroll. So, and then if they're retiring or leaving employment during the calendar year, they'll be subject to a prorated clothing allowance, depending on how long they're here.
So in June, they get a payment in their payroll or in their salary stub of $250 for clothing allowance. And they'll pay tax on that $250.
Yes. And in December.
Rough idea of what that amounts to.
Well, we just did this.
Actually, just
And
paycheck last week.
I talked a couple of employees, because we got them over the weekend, the pay stubs, and a couple of them really weren't too happy because they didn't really get much, because I think unfortunately, when you add that to your pay, to the regular paycheck, it
jumps up a
it
different
jumps up into
bracket.
a different bracket.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, eventually you should get that back when you do your taxes. You're not
Right.
in that tax bracket.
Is there a way though to do that as a separate payroll check?
That's what I'm gonna ask Sue, is if we can do that separately so that they're only taxed at the 250. So starting in December, I'm gonna ask if she would be willing to do that as a separate check. I mean, we don't get checks
It's like a
anymore
per diem
anyways.
check or something. and
Yeah.
You pay tax on it, but it's
Not,
$250. So
Yeah.
that's a tax.
It's a lot less, yeah.
That's something I was gonna ask if she would do.
do they pay some, they don't pay social security tax on that.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's included on everything because it's in your wages.
yeah.
It's
If-
basically adding your
If the
wages.
county actually bought the clothes, would they be taxed?
So actually, if they're considered, well, a uniform, they would be maybe. but
Yeah,
If we could call
Like
it
a
safety equipment, it's a possibility.
Yeah, because
Yeah, we
if
could.
that way, then there wouldn't be any penalty, you wouldn't have
To
to
buy
pay
clothing.
taxes on it.
Yeah,
We
Yeah.
you could have it and order it from here, and if we're exempt, which we are, then, and give them the clothes, then they wouldn't have to
Yeah,
wear
we're-
shoes.
We're actually, we'd like to approve this for today, but we're gonna look at other options. I don't know if I should mention. One of our employees, his wife is a CPA. And she said, well, hey, we do this for if you call it safety equipment,
Right.
then it's non-taxable. So it's something we can look at and talk to Dan about, but
It was just brought to my
it
attention
was
this
just,
morning.
just brought to our attention this morning.
Yeah,
okay.
so we gotta do a little bit more, look and see if that's, she was gonna double check it too before, and then I'll try to get in touch with her to see if that's true or not, and. Cause we definitely just wanna do the correct thing, not, but
Yeah,
we would still wanna keep paying this, but it might just change it from a taxable deduction to a non-taxable, so like. We'd still do this the same, so I don't think this
Right.
would change our policy, but it would just.
We might have to say, instead of a clothing allowance, it might be a safety equipment allowance or
Right.
something.
Well,
Change
Yeah.
the,
Yeah,
I guess if we're gonna bring this to the county board to pass, and we keep bringing the same thing, to keep kind of getting mixed up and keep saying, well, didn't we already discuss this?
yeah, yeah,
we
You know,
don't
we
have
ain't-
to go to the county board. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
this
just,
usually
it's
just
just
goes
in
to you
committee.
guys.
Okay.
yeah,
It's
this is,
just here.
Okay, as long as, yeah, but like I say, if it gets into the handbook and we have to approve the handbook and they say this is in the handbook and we're approving it, wouldn't we be
Yeah.
better off to just do it once?
Well, the highway department's always had like this addendum to the handbook, because there's just certain things that affect just us here. I think like it was passed last time in 2019, and then,
see, we have
Yes.
we have two different ways of doing it, and that's what you can look into too. My shoes go on my paycheck and I have to pay taxes on them. But any shirts and pants are being purchased by the employer
Mhm.
and given to me.
well,
So-
because those are your uniforms.
They're uniform. And
Okay.
so those I can order 3-4 shirts, 2-3 pair of pants,
Yeah,
and they pay for it all. But the shoes, I have to pay the
Yeah.
taxes on them. And I don't know why there's a, well, probably because everybody wears different shoes.
yeah, I mean, we require safety toe shoes, so they're
Right.
they're part of your safety equipment.
yeah,
Um. Yeah, we need to look into it a little bit deeper, but for right now, we would like, as it sits today, we would like this addendum approved for our handbook.
Okay, and then just let the employees know that we're working, you
Looking
guys
at
are
it,
working on
yeah.
it, we are, that,
Mhm.
you know, the intent was not to tax something.
Yeah,
that's-
and
Yeah,
supposedly,
I
I
think
mean-
there, I did make them aware that, yeah, obviously.
I don't know who found it now, it got, when we changed that, somebody found it. The law changed in 2014 and whoever didn't catch it, I mean, we don't handle payroll,
Right,
it's.
We provide
So-
them with the information, but
yeah.
so we need a motion for this then?
Yeah.
We should probably take and run this by those compensation people who are doing the study to see how how the whole compensation thing fits together.
Yeah,
Well, if they're gonna be taxed on it, instead of giving them like $100 and then they're being taxed on that $100, shouldn't you give them more? You know, I guess you see what I'm saying, what are they actually getting?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, I mean,
Yeah.
we increased it from 340 to 500 now it's tax, so that probably is. about
Before there was
wash.
no
Yeah.
taxes.
but if we can, we'll
But
approve
try
this,
to.
and then if you can look into whether we can get it out of their paychecks
Yeah.
and. Or
Yeah.
if we can,
Uniform,
in worst cases, if we can give a separate check for it.
Sure.
yeah.
But the
think that
best,
would
like I
help.
say, I don't pay for the shirts, pants, but the boots I have to pay for.
I just found the publication, I was just looking for it, but it basically, like it says in here, you have to pass this test about it being a uniform or not. The employee must wear the clothes and not suitable for everyday wear. So it just said, it is not enough that an employee wear distinctive clothing, the employer must specifically require the clothing as a working condition, nor is the test met. Employee does not in fact wear the work clothes away from work, the clothing must not be suitable for taking the place for regular clothing. However, the detective suit jacket and related clothing, since they are suitable for everyday wear, do not qualify as a uniform and taxable to an employee. So that's where it got changed, where it's, you know, if it's an actual uniform, like sheriff's uniform, you know, deputy, firefighters, that kind of stuff, those are the ones that are considered not taxable. Was it-
Which these guys, I mean. We provide the vest for summertime, but the wintertime, they buy these jackets, heavy jackets with it, which they need the reflective, I mean, you could. Have any kind of a jacket, I suppose, and still wear a vest, but then. Don't fit right, and then the steel toed shoes are part of our uniform, you could call it. I mean, I would call it that.
What does the sheriff's department do?
They buy their uniforms.
I know, but I'm just saying, are the shoes tax?
I
You know what?
don't
I
know
didn't
on their
ask.
shoes.
Yeah,
But
because-
Yeah, I didn't ask. I know when Dan called me on it, he did say something, but there might have to be some changes there too, but I didn't ask. We just did what we needed to do here and
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the addendum amendment.
I'll also move to make.
Rich, is there a second?
Yeah.
Mike? Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Salt Dome lease agreement.
So as I mentioned earlier, the state is interested in paying for the roof on the salt dome. We're paying, I haven't gotten from them a dollar amount if it's in a whole or in part. But they would like to renew a lease agreement with the county. This I have in the packet as a draft. That they had sent me a draft that they did with another county. I revamped it to Ashland County. I did add the total dollar amount of our estimate right now, which is 186,000. So basically what I would like is if the committee so feels to give me the authority to enter into a lease agreement with the DOT for this purpose for that facility.
There's one-time payment of the 184,000. What's the annual?
184.
Yeah, then down below it says we'll pay a lump sum and then January every year.
so there's a report that I do to the DOT. And it's a salt storage and then, well, there's also equipment, but for the salt storage one, any cost to like maintenance to salt storage buildings, which would be a hybrid, there's one in each location and the dome. That then gets divided up. Percentage to the state, percentage to the county based on how much salt, and it's generally about 60-40. So the state would pay 60% of those costs and we pay 40, and they reimburse them 2 years behind schedule. Based on the stuff that we send. So we do get reimbursed for maintenance to these buildings already now, and that would still continue. So that's kind of the same thing. So if there's other maintenance, this is just above and beyond just standard maintenance at 184.
Do we get any amount of money for having the building, owning it, and they lease it every year?
We do not at this time, other than the reimbursements for,
Yeah.
well, the salt storage reimbursement, then
Yeah.
Do we get any money coming in or no?
Well, the state paid for a big majority of that building.
Okay,
The county paid, I don't know the numbers right now, we just looked at them, but there's like,
it was-
a portion
was
of
about
it.
50-50, I think.
Yeah, and then they paid it, so they don't own it 100%, but they base the reimbursements on a year. We usually get like 400 to 500 a ton of salt in a year, 35. So there's like the percentage on what the salt is in the building, county versus state, and there's way more state salt in there, so they end up paying more for the maintenance on it.
Okay, so the 184,000 that lump sum payment,
Mhm.
but then they pay an annual fee, and you said that's usually behind.
Yep, they
Okay.
reimbursed, like they're just 2
Okay.
years behind on reimbursement. So like this year, the January payment we got was for 2020, probably. And then
what was that amount?
I'd have to look there. I mean, like, cause we get a big check and it's like, it was like 172,000, but
So we get a check every year that's 2 years behind
yeah,
for the salt that the state puts in there. So we are actually getting reimbursement, so we're paying, let's say 40% of that 184,000, right?
well, the 184, they're gonna pay. That's gonna be.
We're
a separate
we're
amount.
hoping, I don't know that,
Oh,
okay,
we're
that-
hoping.
that they will pay that 100. We haven't had an agreement on here yet. This is the first draft I sent to them.
Okay,
I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm looking for you guys to give me the authority to,
So if they do
To
pay
approve this,
something up to the 184,000, you're
Yeah.
hoping to use that money to re-roof it.
yes.
Okay.
so if they only give you 100,000, are you
Probably.
going to re-roof it?
I would we have to.
No, but I'm saying the county has to come up with the
Yeah.
other 84,000.
Yeah, then we would have to come up with the other 84,000, yeah.
Okay, so you're just looking right now for
So this is just a draft,
draft,
but
okay.
I'm working, it's something I sent to them last week and they have to review it and, you know, they go back and forth a little bit, but, you know, I would like the authority to be able to sign this lease agreement when we hammer out the details.
So I was gonna piggyback what Bill had just indicated, if they're to reimburse us $100,000. And we're 2 years behind on the reimbursement of the materials that they have in there.
Mhm.
Where do we have that money earmarked that they reimburse us? Can we
That's
use
all.
some of that, or is that all already inclusive part of this budget?
That's all part of the budget, yeah.
It's part of our RMA dollars technically, so
Mhm.
if we get more money on that, it'd be nice if they keep it separate, because if we, then that 2 years from now, when that's on there, we'll get more money from them to cover that cost. But it takes away from the amount of work we can do on the state roads,
For
because
other
it
things.
lowers that.
See,
that
we
RMA.
basically get $1 million from the state on our RMA contract a year. So if in 2 years, they give us an extra $184,000 to pay for that roof, that's just 184 less that we can do work on the road. I mean,
I guess that's kind of what I'm getting
Yeah.
at, because well, we're intermixing monies here.
mhm,
And it in the long run here, this is the first time we're gonna have an agreement, lease agreement.
we don't,
For a lump
They
sum.
would have probably did one
we
when they
think
built
they had
it.
one, but we don't have it. I mean, that's why they would like to renew the lease agreement. You know, there should have been that one done back in 97. We don't have any record of it.
So this lease agreement is totally new.
Yes,
So we have no lease agreement existing with the exception of reimbursement
yes.
of 2-year prior
Yes,
expense.
So where are we gonna come up with the money? If someone did the work, how are we gonna pay for it now? If we're not gonna get the money for 2 years?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would have to go. I'm hoping we can get this figured out before in the next month or so. So I might have to come back and say, hey, you know, our capital improvement plan needs to add this money and they would have to go on debt levy for capital improvements to pay for this roof.
Need to sort this out.
So are we just giving you the authority to go ahead and deal with them?
Yes.
I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, any other questions? We're giving Matt the authority to deal with.
Is that how you want me to write it?
You already got a headache. You already just talking about it.
I have is there any prospect at all of ever using rail down here again?
You know,
When hell freezes over.
Because
Actually, you know, I'm gonna tell you about the rail crack.
Calls me.
We're paying $500 a year to be part of the Northern Rail Transportation System. And the conversation that was had the last meeting was, well, they're working on southern Wisconsin first, which we know where this is going.
Yep.
And this is gonna cost millions of dollars. First, you gotta know what you want rail for. They're not bringing 3-4 rail cars of salt up here and nothing else
Yeah.
comes north. They ain't gonna have loggers. You're out of luck unless you go Mellon south. That track, there's nothing wrong with. You could put wood yards in that area. But to come to Ashland again, or because half the rail's gone, you've got to have a prospect of cars. No railroad, even this new one, is gonna come up here for 3 cars a week.
you know,
But
we had a pre-con for Highway 13, what, a week and a half ago? And a guy from the new rail, Foxy Rail, showed up at it. He was very encouraging words. I mean, he says they are gonna fix this rail. He says they
they're
are going
hoping
to
for
fix it.
federal money.
I'm sure they are.
And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
it could be a selling point, but long-term. I mean, I went to school for marketing.
Yeah.
They ain't putting
Yeah,
a car up here. The loggers suffered before because CNN would bring a car into Glidden and want it out of there in one day.
sure.
Didn't work.
Yeah,
And then they would tell them, well, we can't get your car for a week. Well, the logger can't deal that week. Byfield's got a rail yard and that wood's going to Escanaba right now, which is huge. But I'm pushing the Woods guys to get on board.
Mhm.
Literally, because Mellon South, there's nothing wrong,
Yeah,
just because it's
Where does the
closed.
railroad, where does it end now? Where's
Park
the end?
Falls, where
end of the
Johnson's
track?
Car Wash used to be in Park Falls, there's a sign right in the middle of the tracks. And with the mill gone, it's even worse. But the rail cars cannot go farther north than
Park
what
Falls.
Johnson's Car Wash
Yep.
was. But they don't even go that far, but they go to the mill.
Yeah.
But, and the mill's not there. But,
Yeah.
Byfield-
this guy, so he said they want to open this rail and they want to open it down Ogden. That is their intention.
well, that would make sense if you could get rail cars. Well, how are you gonna go down to Naga, to Mellon?
No, up, right up by Doma Road, there's that track that goes
Little,
east.
little South Shore. across the- goes
He,
over
he
there,
says they have every intention of opening them rails up.
goes over there.
Does it pay to do that $500 to send somebody every year?
Well, they go to that, no,
That goes to
Up
the,
I think it
it,
does.
they
Yeah.
meet in Michigan, and Michigan's been pushing, it probably does, but I'm saying. They're gonna have to get federal dollars to
Yeah,
put this track
which
together.
I'm sure they're gonna be trying. This guy was, I mean, the way he talked, they're very responsive. Any road issues, they wanna deal with them, they wanna work with us, they want, like CN, it was like impossible to talk to anybody or get a hold of anybody.
They-
And according to this guy, that's not how they do business. It was good to hear. We'll see if it
Well, maybe
materializes or
we'll
not.
invite him to a county board meeting.
At one time, I did a count of how many times we paid for the taxpayers, I paid for the railroads and so far not through.
Yeah.
That's it?
But like you say, the feds are the only ones who can pump that money into that,
Sure.
because this is a huge.
Undertaking.
these Trestles.
Yeah.
I think you should invite him to the county board meeting. The way he talked, I bet he would come and talk to you guys.
Do you have his name and stuff?
Yeah.
I do.
That's a
I think
good
Could
idea.
you give it to Dan? And
Wasn't
ask
he at
Dan
the
if he'd
finance
be on the
meeting?
agenda.
On the last finance meeting, there was somebody I thought. from
That
the
Yeah,
railroad.
that was,
the
that was our
association.
rep from,
That,
Oh,
from
okay.
that money that we paid.
yeah, we paid a $500 a year.
Yeah.
Oh, I get
They,
it.
they really were there because it's coming up to budget
'Cause they
time.
want
They want their money again, yeah.
But, you know,
I think that's a good idea. to
Yeah.
keep that, yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've just been frustrated with all the, like I say, there's no reason Mellon South isn't open, none.
Mhm.
I mean, they're going into Fifield to haul wood. And there are woods, we want to get these guys off the freaking highway with these logging trucks. So why not put the wood yards back? But like you say, okay. Sorry about that.
No.
We won't have a meeting in August.
We're not planning to right now.
So what would normally, in September, we'd be looking at the 12th or the 19th,
It would be
For
the
the fifth.
12th.
12th?
Yes.
We'll put it,
12th of August,
of September.
I mean, September.
I have a question quick too. Why wasn't there anybody here today on the four-wheeling on GG?
Well, I mean, last he said he was there, they were trying to get their ATV club, a new ATV club put together. So I'm
Okay.
assuming that maybe
That-
that's why.
That's still
Uh-huh.
that's still a problem. That road is not ATV friendly. And I understand there are landowners who want to get into Clam Lake, but I'm sorry, that's a scary road.
Is this the
It's much
section
better since it's been
that we done this
cleared,
one? Or no?
but it's still, nobody drives the speed limit on that road. The Minnesota and Michigan people are doing.
Nobody
70.
stays on their own side of the road. even.
That's-
Oh, I agree.
I've
Yeah,
had
I
so
mean-
many close calls on that.
Yep,
That section of road they're looking at is scheduled to be redone in 26. That will be adding them 3 foot
Right.
paved shoulders.
Right,
What-
So if they can wait 4
whatever.
years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
What day did we decide?
the 12th.
September,
of
yeah.
September.
As far as the term of the highway commissioner,
Mhm.
that's going to be voted on by the county and board again in January.
That will just be confirming me for the next 6 years.
yeah,
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
Actually, will be in November.
Okay,
Because
but it wasn't,
starts
it
on
it was not,
January 1.
it was not added on already. It's
No.
gonna be another separate county board.
Yeah, it'll have to be approved at the November meeting.
Yeah,
Or
again,
take
that's,
back.
that been beat to death
Oh
for the
my
last
God.
4 months or
You know,
whatever.
right,
not
and
half a
and
year.
that's kind of the thing that I just, it blows
Some
my
so
mind.
simple, some so simple,
Yeah,
and
it
just,
blows my mind that why can't we just take care of this once and be done with it instead of, and it's like a half an hour or an hour every
Well, what
time.
people didn't understand was we could sit here, any group of us, whether it's a committee or the county board, and come in and tell Matt tomorrow he or fired.
Yeah.
So what the heck did we spend 3 months arguing about?
Well, we,
Yeah,
could-
that's
I
what I
don't
mean.
think, I don't think we could fire Matt. I think it'd have to be to the county board.
Yeah.
Well, I know,
Yeah,
but I mean.
yeah.
We could
somebody-
recommend,
yeah,
Right. But I
I
mean,
mean, you guys
Yeah.
could recommend to exact and
Right.
exact
Yeah.
to tell Dan to get rid of me. I mean, Dan is my
Supervisor.
supervisor.
supervisor,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep, so,
now is Dan every year?
he got a 2-year contract.
He got a 2-year
He
contract
would be coming up for a renewal at some point next year.
next year.
You could fire just about anybody for cause.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
That's
he,
why I
but he
said,
could come in and say, well, you know, in September, I'm gonna start for Northern Clearing,
oh, yeah.
and you know, I'm
I have
giving
to give
my,
a 1 month
yeah.
notice. I mean, that's
So I
all
mean,
it
he
is.
could leave
then he's
anytime he
gotta
wants
pay
to.
that $5,000
Well-
fine.
Yeah, $5,000, when we want it before you leave, or also hold your vehicle.
Our administrator at school has a $6,000 penalty if they terminate themselves. If
Okay.
they leave early. Our teaching staff has that 1,000, and we just lost one last week, and he said he'd pay it. It doesn't matter if he pays it or we hold it out of his last paycheck. But the 6,000 we can get from an administrator because their freaking checks are pretty big.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, you know, for myself, I have to give a 1 month notice, otherwise I don't qualify for any of the, you know, you left.
They take your
Sick
vacation
leave.
and,
Yeah,
Yeah.
sick
Yeah.
leave, everything, yeah.
Sick days.
That's a pretty good hook.
yeah,
Yeah.
when the former administrator, when I was talking about, I didn't get along with him the best. And when I was talking about retiring, I told him I was gonna give him a 2-week notice. And he brought it up to the executive committee that department heads have to give a month.
Oh, yeah?
Yes,
They do.
because, you know, I says, all I'm giving you is a 2-week and I'm walking out the door, I'm taking vacation. Well, I just plain did not get along with him, because he basically lied through his teeth.
Oh,
Well, I'll tell
And
you,
that ticked me off, and I said, I was just ready to walk out.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Then
Yeah.
I'll tell you quick. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
So